Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival.
That was Time After Time from Lynch Mob's new album, Babylon. Lynch Mob announced the final ride, the final tour recently, and I have legendary guitarist George Lynch on the phone to talk about that, the new album, and more. Good to have you back on the Revival, George. How's it going?
Hey Jay, it's going great. I've been doing a lot of interviews because I have both two records out simultaneously. The one you mentioned, Guitars at the End of the World, the instrumental record, and also the new Lynch Mob record, Babylon. So I'm kind of doing double duty with interviews, and you're my last interview of the day. So.
Oh, cool. Gonna save the best for last.
So they tend to go on a lot longer than we're supposed to, so I apologize because I missed you earlier.
Oh, no worries. So
it was almost 2 hours long.
Oh, that's crazy.
But this one's not going to be 2 hours. So.
No, definitely not. So now on the new album Babylon, you've got a new singer. And he sounds great. He sounds like he'll be able to cover all the old material as well. Where'd you find Gabriel and the other guys in the band? Who else is in the band this time?
Well, we're doing a show in Key West, and I was doing a show in Key West, playing with some other people, just sort of a jam thing. It's like this kind of regional festival they have every summer down there. I forget what it's called, but then we had some days off, so we took a boat and some of us we did the fish and musician thing, and we were out way out by the Tortugas, which is kind of the Keys keep going past the road, and you can go way out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we pulled our boats up on this sort of deserted island. We don't even know what the island was called. And we ended up spending the day there and the night there, and we were fishing, and we had a fire, and we had some beers and all this kind of stuff, and we ended up having an acoustic guitar with me, ended up jamming. And Gabriel was one of the people on this boat, and he was coming over from Puerto Rico.
Oh.
And we started talking, and we just we gelled, and I didn't, he just started singing like a bird. I was like, oh my God, dude, you have a beautiful voice, it's incredible. And he knew who I was, and then we kept the relationship going and kept in touch, and he ended up in California, and he joined the band.
Nice. Now, who's playing bass and drums this time around?
The band's been pretty static and pretty solid for a few years now with this lineup, and so we have Gabriel, Jimmy DeAndos is on drums, and Jimmy and I have been playing together for decades, so he's sort of a fixture in the band, has been for a long time.
Ah, cool.
And Jaron Galino on bass, and he's just a really interesting story with Jaron. He's kind of like genetically designed in a lab to be the bass player in Lynch Mob. I know that sounds a little ridiculous, but if you would ask him, that's really like his kind of. He's really dedicated himself to being that person in this band, and a lot more than just a bass player. Jaron is kind of that indispensable that every band needs. It's the guy, I call him the Swiss Army knife guy.
Okay.
And it's the guy that does everything, but doesn't necessarily get recognized for anything. But he's the guy that makes it all work. And he deals with logistics and he's the kind of the glue that kind of binds everything together. He does all the hard work behind the scenes, and he's really good at it, and he's a natural at it. But he's taking the bass playing role very seriously and sort of just analyzing and dissecting what the ultimate bass player for Lynch Mob would be. Has the qualities of Anthony and Jeff Pilson and all these kinds of guys that do just that specific kind of bass playing, that kind of that edgy tone, big SVT, P-bass, very groove-oriented with a pick. He has the look, he has the personality. He's very funny. He's very bright. and he's just really just a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he just fit in so nicely. And what he was doing for years was following the band around. He would show up at all these shows, at dozens of shows, all over the country, and I would ask my tech knew him, and I said, well, who is this guy? And he's a very nice guy. I was like, well, why is he always at these shows? He goes, well, he's just a huge fan, and he plays bass, by the way. And if we ever need a bass player, he's kind of serving the role of an understudy, and he'll be ready to go at a moment's notice. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Who would do that?
Wow.
And so that's exactly what happened. Bass player we had at the time was also in UFO, and Rob DeLuca, and they had a European tour he couldn't get out of, and he had to go do that. And Jaron jumped in as a sub and never left.
Oh, nice. Now, how'd you guys go about writing this? Were you all in the same room, or was it sending files back and forth, kind of putting things together?
No, we got an old tour bus, very old, I think from the 60s, and we had it fixed up. We built a studio in it, and we took it out, and we kind of traveled around different parts of the country. So we kind of made it like a kind of an exploratory camping trip / recording process.
Wow. Okay.
And we would just be sort of influenced by wherever we were at, and we would just stay in one place for a certain amount of time. So we did, a lot of the work out in the desert out near Joshua Tree, and then we went out to New Mexico and did some work, and so forth, et cetera. Yeah, and so we felt like a lot of the different locations would inform our music and inspire us and things like that, which it did.
Yeah.
And so I think you get a lot of different flavors on the record.
Nice. Yeah, definitely, especially guitar tone wise. I mean, you really go out with I think is that the baritone guitar I hear in the song Sinner? Is that got that?
Well, no, that's not a baritone guitar. That's a what's called a Mutron octavider.
Oh, okay.
An effect that I use frequently. That was made in mid 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, you're going to be put out the announcement, the final ride. It starts in January next year and goes till March of 2025. Now, what made you decide, touring is, you're done with it with this project?
Well, the idea of Lynch Mob initially was to put this band together of brothers, a family that would always remain, like Zeppelin, whatever, it would just be the four guys, and they would have distinct personalities and styles, and we'd have this powerhouse group, and we put out this great first record, and we would just keep going and be this historically significant musical presence. Well, it didn't work out that way. The band kept going through changes and member changes, and it ended up being a revolving door and of diminishing returns, and it was very disappointing for me. And so, come decades later, 3+ decades later, the current version of the band is very solid, and I think retains that magic that the first initial version of the band had, in a way. Different, but the same, that same magnitude I felt, and it's very solid and consistent, and so we wrote this record, and the record came out fantastic, and we thought, I thought personally, I go, I don't really want to go through this revolving door process anymore with this band. This is the last version of the band I want to experience, and I want the world to experience. So we have this great record, which is a vehicle for us to tour on for another year. The band's going to stay together for another year. Who knows what's going to happen after that? So instead of waiting for band members to leave, let's decide to us be in charge of our own destiny.
Nice.
Instead of going out with a whimper, we'll go out with a bang.
There you go. Now, you seem to be pretty busy with all these different projects. I mean, we had the band Red Rain on about a month or so ago, and they had a song featuring you on lead guitar. And you've put out the covers album with Jeff Pilson and the Babylon and your Guitars at the End of the World. I mean, how do you find time to do all of this and come up with so much cool material? How do you catalog your stuff? I mean, does it just come out at the time you're ready to start working on it, or are you recording every time you're sitting down with the guitar?
Well, both. I mean, every time I sit down, not every time, but frequently when I sit down, I'll like most musicians I know, we have ideas pop into our heads. We catalog it, like as you mentioned. When, I just record stuff wherever I'm at, so I have this kind of huge resource of backlog of ideas that I can always tap into if I need to for any project. But having said that, I rarely do that. And when I get a project, I go in and I write at the moment whatever comes to my head, and that's how I make records. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Nice.
And it happens very fast. I mean, I just finished Jeff and I just finished the third End Machine record, and that's going to come out early next year. And then I also just finished, actually most recently, I just finished what was going to be the new Dirty Shirley record. I don't know what we're going to call it now, but I recorded that record. I don't know if I should admit this, but I wrote and recorded all the songs in 6 days.
Whoa, man!
One song, I wrote 3 songs in 1 day from scratch. So it just comes to you, it's not premeditated or anything, and it's not rocket science. So I sort of have a method that I use, and it works.
Yeah, definitely.
No question.
Now, listening to Guitars at the End of the World, I thought I was hearing a fretless bass in there, and then I read up on who was on the album, and yeah, you got Tony Franklin playing bass. How'd you manage getting him? I worked with him on another project previous to this that never got released. It was a sort of a private project, the sort of a vanity record that I don't want to call it that. That sounds kind of like insulting, but just a private party was wanting to do an album, and I was hired to sort of produce it or put it together. So I hired the musicians, Brian Tichy and Tony Franklin, and put this album together that at this point has still never seen the light of day. Oh.
I hope it does at some point. It was a really cool record. It didn't really have a name for the project or anything. But anyway, so Tony did all this incredible work, and I was sort of had a chance to work with him, so we made a connection there. So when this record came along, I was like, need a bass player. Tony fit the bill.
Yeah.
He's got such a unique style,
Yeah, that fretless bass sounds so cool.
Add a kind of unique dimension to the record.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on one of the bonus tracks, Bitches Be Crazy, what are you using to do the high vocal line that you're doing? It sounds like it sounds so keyboardy until you get to to the lower register, and then you can kind of tell that it's a guitar. But when you're way up there, what's making that? That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's cool sounding.
I have a hard time. I'm working so quick with these records, and I don't catalog. A lot of things. I don't remember. So I have hundreds of pedals, and I love just experimenting with, when it gets what I call the ear candy phase of the record, where, I've laid down the basics, and I have the basic arrangement and rhythm guitars and everything, and now I need to start making it interesting. Then I start sometimes just trying to imagine what should be there. And sometimes I'll have I have my default things that I'll go to. There's a dozen different things that I'll use on every record. I know what it does, and I'll use a Sustainiac and an EBow with a tremolo effect, or I'll use the whammy pedal with something else, a lock divider or something. I do all the things I already know how to do, and I know what it's going to do. But with that particular voicing, where I'm really the voice of the verse.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar is the singer. I can't honestly remember exactly what I used, but I put together 2 or 3 things, and I go, let's see what that does,
Oh, okay.
and just play along, and that's the problem. I was moving so quickly, I don't know if I'd ever be able to recreate that, reverse engineer it, but it's just having fun, really, and experimenting.
Nice. Now, I watched your making of guitars at the End of the World, and dude, you got some really cool guitars. I mean, I love that triple pickup Black Beauty Gibbs 1960 Gibson. Man, that's a sweet guitar. And you got to use Ace Frehley's 74 Marshall Super Lead. Now, whose amp was that? That isn't yours, is it? Or was it the studio's?
No, it was the studios, yeah.
Okay.
It's a friend of mine has a studio up in Northern California, and he has an incredible collection of stuff. And, I mean, that's just not even scratching the surface of the things this guy has. I mean, he has Stevie Ray Vaughan gear and Black Sabbath gear, and
wow.
I couldn't even begin. I mean, Eddie gear. I mean, just
wow.
It's just incredible collection of gear. I mean, you could spend a lifetime going through his stuff, but so that was just captured a moment in time right there when I had that sitting in the studio. I thought, this is interesting. It's got some history.
Yeah,
document.
Definitely. Did it sound different than like your normal Marshall that you'd be using, a newer Marshall?
Yeah, it sounded good. It didn't sound like Ace Frehley.
No.
So, just goes to show you, I guess, right? It's all in the hands of the
exactly.
A particular artist. But I got out of it what I needed out of it. I thought it was very cool. I wanted to own the amp after I played through it. I was like, oh, man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Nope.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. Now, I want to go back to, like, hearing aid was turned out to be pretty monumental, getting all those musicians together. We've talked to a few people who were involved in it, and what was your take on it? What was your experience like?
It was a very positive experience. I mean, I don't think enough people talk about what the point of it was.
Yeah, to raise money for the famine relief, right?
Correct. Well, allegedly.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not what happened.
Oh.
I'm very unfortunate. As I was told years later. So, that kind of soured the experience for me retrospectively when I learned that. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That's really sad, But for the as far as the actual experience, of course, it was like one of those things that just happens once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Where you get, if you wanted to be the greatest guitar player in the world and get rid of the competition, that would have been a good place to drop a bomb.
Yeah, I think so.
Wiped out all the competition.
Man. All right. Well,
the most impressive thing to me, though, was not the on top of the guitar players. It was really not the guitar players. It was Rob Halford.
Oh, yeah.
When he walked in the room, oh my God, that just, you knew who the rock star was.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he walked in all with his leather, wrapped in leather, studded leather, and man, he was just a freaking demon, man.
Nice. Nice. Great. Now, your son-in-law happens to play a guitar in a pretty big band.
That's right. Plays with Rob Halford, yeah.
Yeah, Richie Faulkner and Judas Priest. Now, what's it like on Thanksgiving after dinner? A family, do you guys go grab some guitars and start melting faces, or what?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of that.
Yeah.
Trey's ripping off all my licks.
Nice.
No, Richie's just a beautiful person and a natural player, and I very, I'm not really I don't think as much of a natural player as he is. just has it in his bones and his hands, and he's surprising and very mature, you know, when I watch him. And I've known a few other people like that in my lifetime, players like that, and it always astonishes me.
Yeah.
And I'm not that kind of player. I rely more on inspiration. And I can be hot and cold, but he's very consistent, and he's a machine. You know, I just adore the way he plays.
Nice.
But yeah, he's just a wonderful person too.
Well,
you know,
cool.
He's definitely you know, everywhere he goes when he plays, you know, and all the guitar players, you know, kind of light up, and then like, oh man, this guy matters.
Oh yeah, nice. Now, do you think the song "A Million Miles Away" on the Babylon album could have used some cowbell?
Yeah, well, you know.
That
actor that was hosting Saturday Night Live to come in and help produce it.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, that would work. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you've had plenty of interviewing for one day. So where can the fans find out about the new Lynch Mob album and your instrumental album, and keep in touch and find out about the upcoming tour?
You know, anywhere on social media or you know, Instagram, Facebook, my website. I came up with this crazy name for my website, so it might be hard for people to find. I don't even know how I thought of it. It's called George-Lynch.com. I had this website
crazy.
naming service I paid I signed up for in Hollywood, and they charged me a bunch of money, and they came up with that for me.
Wow, man, That's pretty creative. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. It must be AI or something.
Yeah, definitely. Well, George, it was an honor to talk to you. And is there a track off the new album you'd like us to go out of the interview with?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't even know the names of the songs on the record.
How about we go with
like
Sinner?
2 other records instead. I don't know.
How about we go with Sinner? I love that effect.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, George, you're welcome back anytime. And it's been an honor, again, having you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Jay. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you.